Okay, great.
Good morning. Well, we're delighted to have Michael and Donnie here to do the presentation today, and most of you probably have seen more of Michael and his background prior to coming to work for us here in Bent Tree. He was 15 years in law enforcement, and he's been with us for about 5 years. You probably don't see Donnie as much, and maybe that's a good thing for Donnie. But Donnie was telling me that he started working in Bent Tree in 1988. And there was, he said there's about 500 homes in the community at that time, and he said when the people went home to Florida in the wintertime, this was like a ghost town. Things have changed quite a bit since then. He's had some other, worked here a number of years, had some other career opportunities, and then is our fire chief currently. So we welcome both of you today, and
thanks a lot.
The presentation goes without saying, we appreciate everything you do for us every day.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks. Good morning. Thanks a lot. Good to see everyone here. We're going to be talking to you today about protecting your home from wildfire. That's should be a concern here. We are in a high-risk area for that. So we want everyone to know some very basic things that they can do to protect their home. And these are things pretty much everyone could do or get someone to do for them for a very reasonable price. And we're going to be focusing on the home itself and the 5-foot perimeter right around the home. So first, I want to play a quick video. This kind of sets the tone as to why it's important to employ these Firewise principles around your property. And as we watch it, just think about what it would be like to be driving in these conditions. Because what this is from the Gatlinburg fires in 2016. And there's actually longer videos out there of it, which I have at the very end in case anyone wants a copy of the slideshow. But you know, they call it Escape from Hell. And when you see this, that's what it looks like. It looks like they're driving through hell. So get this one. Yeah, let's play that. Might have to start it.
Go, 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 go.
In a race against the wildfires.
Everything is burning around us. Every cabin, everything.
A 15-minute drive down a mountain in Chalet Village turned into a life or death escape.
That's where we got stuck.
Stepbrothers Michael Luciano and Anthony Fulton say they had no warning of what was coming, other than red embers flying through the air.
I said, we got to go. And when we went, I could not believe what I just seen.
Everything was on fire. Everything was on fire.
The two packed what little they could grab into their truck.
Hit the gas! Hit the gas!
Running into downed power lines and several trees blocking the road.
Going through that tree,
Hot in here. Don't worry about the line.
being stuck there for that 1 or 2 minutes, it felt like 10.
We just hit a limb and a log.
Looking back,
And just after watching the video, it's amazing to even think that we even made it down.
the two say they tried to keep level heads with everything around them going up in flames.
Stay calm, do what you do, drive, and get the hell off this mountain.
You thought, you know, if you don't get out of here, you're going to die.
Please, Lord, let us get off this mountain.
And as their prayers were answered to escape the fire,
It would be a blessing if the house didn't burn down.
one more request hangs in the balance for their home on top of the mountain.
I'm still just wondering, is my house burning? Is it burning down?
Okay, so who here would be comfortable driving through that stuff? So that's kind of the point is, now obviously if we do have a major fire here, we're gonna order evacuations in the appropriate areas. But let's just say you don't get that message for some reason. In a situation like that, you need to balance the risk of trying to go out in something like that versus just sitting it out at your home. We're never going to force people from their home, so that's going to ultimately be a decision for everyone. But if you have a property that is Firewise and has these principles we're going to talk about today, you actually would have a reasonable option to stay. If you didn't get the evacuation notice or whatever. So that's reason number one, is nobody would want to drive through that kind of hellish condition. So Firewise, what is Firewise? It's basically a national organization. It's part of the National Fire Protection Agency, and it's a set of principles directed at simply protecting homes and infrastructure from wildfires. So it's not a one-size-fits-all. On some of the slides coming up, there are recommendations from them, but there's no obligation for Bentry as trying to be a somewhat Firewise community. We don't have to follow those to the letter. We have other concerns here with erosion and so on, and I'm always going to be working with your group, Lake and Wildlife, to make sure we have a good balance with those things. But basically every community should have their own set of standards with that, and I know part of the habitat conservation plan, when it came to the spacing out of trees and distance from structures of trees, with those recommendations, that Firewise principles were somewhat considered. I remember having meetings with Rick in Georgia Forestry, and ultimately what we determined, though, from those meetings is we really need to focus on what we're talking about today, and that is the immediate zone around the home, the 5-foot perimeter and the home itself. Science tells us that that zone, that's by the red line there, that zone is by far the most important thing you can address around your property to keep it safe in a wildfire situation. Now, you don't want to totally ignore the rest of it, but if you can get that immediate zone under really good control, you stand a very strong chance of being able to make it through a bad fire situation. So other than the immediate zone, you have the intermediate zone, which is 5 to 30 feet perimeter from your home. That primarily focuses on basically creating an area where fire will not easily spread, where it's going to slow the spread of fire. Some of the big points from that are, propane tanks. Get rid of the combustible elements around your propane tank. Sometimes those are in the, greater than 5 feet from the home. And then also just kind of creating fire breaks. You could use rocks, decorative type things for this, and spacing out plants. So if one catches on fire, it's not going to create a chain reaction of that. Also, one of the main points from there I just hit really quickly is they recommend not having trees that have branches within 10 feet of the home. So that's good for more than just wildfire protection. That's good for keeping squirrels and other animals from getting into your attic. There's just a lot of good reasons why you shouldn't have trees that close to your home. But those are the key points from the intermediate zone. And then on the extended zone, it's kind of more the same, but in this area you're not as much focused on slowing the spread of fire. You're just trying to have it set up to where it's not going to contribute to the spread of it. So here you can have more clusters of trees and things like that, but you don't want to just have continual trees according to these guidelines. And primarily one of the focuses here is just removing fuels from that area. If you have pine needles, things like that, a lot of dead brush, other things, but we do recommend, if you remove stuff, combustible elements, replace them with mulch and things that are fire resistant, so you don't run into the erosion problems. So here is another quick video, and this is kind of a summary of the immediate zone that we're going to focus on this morning. It's just a 2-minute video, then we'll get going with everything.
If your home is in or near wildlands, this video is for you. Lightning-caused wildfires are natural events, old as the land itself. Unfortunately, humans start many wildfires as well. Because we are building homes in natural areas, we are at risk to losing these structures to wildfire. But homes don't usually burn because of the main fire. Scientists have found that embers can ignite homes far from the main wildfire. Embers can fly up to a mile, landing on roofs or other flammable materials. Flame-resistant roofing materials can prevent embers from igniting your home. Rain gutters could offer a bed of fuel for a rogue ember, but a well-kept gutter will expire burning embers. Embers can also land inside open areas, such as attic vents. Proper screening of these openings will ensure that embers are blocked out. Embers landing near the foundation of your home can start a burn there too. Non-flammable landscaping around the base of your home leaves embers with nothing to ignite. Hardening your home will prevent embers from catching it on fire. When it's time to replace your roof, choose fire-resistant roofing materials. Keep your roof and gutters free from flammable debris. Ensure all vent openings and underdecks are screened with 1/8 inch wire mesh. Replace flammable vegetation around your home with material that won't catch fire, such as rock mulch, because it's critical that embers landing within 5 feet of a structure don't find something to ignite. Keep your yard well maintained, or consider low watering options, like xeriscaping. We will always have wildfires, but we don't have to lose homes. Smart choices, proper planning, and spreading the word about wildfire preparation can give your community a fighting chance against the threat of wildfire. For more information, contact your local BLM office.
Okay, so as you saw in that video, when a home catches fire from a wildfire, it's not generally, well, it's going to be because of direct flame contact, which is caused by those embers, okay? So what the goal is to make your home to where if an ember does hit within that 5-foot perimeter or hit the home itself, it's not going to have conditions that create a sustained flame that's going to be in contact with your home. That's what protects homes from these wildfires. So science tells us consistently that if you can get that immediate zone taken care of and use Firewise principles there, that again, your chances of your home and your family being safe during a wildfire situation are incredibly strong. And the embers, they fly, about a mile. So you could have a fire in Bentry that's not necessarily close to your home, but if you don't have that immediate zone under control, you are at risk of having an ember create that sustained flame around your home that ultimately catches the house on fire. So what you want to do is start with the house itself, and then you move into the landscaping of that immediate zone, the 5-foot area. And I'm going to turn it over to our Fire Chief, Donnie Arp, to go through this next section. You guys have questions?
One quick question. At one time, there was a program brought to us by Big Canoe, federal program, to assist us in
yeah.
What's the status of that?
Yeah, I was going to get to that at the end, but yeah, we are currently waiting on word for that grant. And it should be any day that we find out if we get the funding or not. So we're close to knowing one way or another. I know that if we don't get it this time, they're not going to be resubmitting it. They submitted it about a year ago, and 2 of the people that scored it had it like extremely high, and then 1 person judged it and had it low for some reason. And so that we didn't get it that time, so they reworded some things and resubmitted it. And any day we should find out if it's going to be approved for us or not.
Michael, even if you get it, that will not change. We need to do this.
Right.
That grant will fix your house this way.
Right. Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, you notice that in this thing, it showed the secondary zone going out to about 30 feet. Okay? However, to the best of my knowledge and belief, incidentally, the architectural committee limits you to 20 feet. So
Yeah.
should you or someone make a recommendation that they extend that out to 30 feet? So someone like me or any of the other people here could actually, if they wanted to, clear that 30-foot area as opposed to only 20.
Well, we're not trying to just clear that area. You know, you really just want to have things a little thin and have some pruning guidelines used within that area. We're not really trying to get people just clear that whole area.
But if someone wanted to, they could, right? That makes a good fire break, does it not?
Yeah, and you know, Fred, I would recommend anyone wanting to cut a tree, they would need to just go to Fred Macklem, and he does have the recommendations from the Habitat Conservation Plan. He considers those. So I would say just submit a request if you had one like that.
Okay.
But when it comes to the grant, though, a lot of the things in this, that is what they would do on a home. We definitely don't want people waiting around for the grant, though. One of what they would do if we got it is they would make sure your gutters are clean. They would clean off the roof, any kind of pine needles, fuels for fire on the roof. They would not replace the attic vents with that 1/8 inch mesh screen. They would recommend that, and you could pick your own contractor to do it or just do it yourself. And they would also deal with removing dead trees from the property. I believe within 40 feet is what that range was. And none of that would be done without consent of the homeowner. They would go in, basically assess the property, give you recommendations, and then the homeowner would be able to say what they wanted done and what they would. Go ahead.
For those of us who signed up for the first go-round, first application, are we automatically on the second?
Yeah, everyone is still on it, so no need to re-sign up. But we'll see what happens with the grant. You know, I've been saying at the board meetings for a while, though, these are not things that we need to wait on. You know, this immediate zone, there's no reason why we should wait for someone to come do that. We can get that ourselves. But, all right, Donnie.
Continue with what Director Koorey was talking about. These roofs, either you know that you have it on your roof or one of your neighbors do it on your street that probably looks like this. And probably from the street they may be pretty, clean, but what about the backside? I know a lot of the property owners, they make the front look good, but if you go around the back, you're like, what happened between the front to the back? So as they were talking about, you can see where this valley comes down. You get all those pine needles in there, which Gentry has a lot of pine trees. And that's going to be the issue. If you have one of those embers they're talking about, it could be a mile away, fall in against your shingles and get that fire, then you're already up into the roof and now you've lost everything. Clean roofs and gutters, dead leaves, debris, pine needles that could catch embers, replace and repair any loose or missing shingles or roof tiles to prevent ember penetration. I know this, I've actually seen this in person. The villas, just right here above us, every one of those have those vents like that right there. And probably 80% of them look like that, more than likely. So if you do not check your home of any of the vents up top, have a contractor, someone come in and take care of those, because I'd hate for anything to happen. This is what they recommend. It's an 1/8 inch metal mesh, and what this would go over those little grates in those, like right there on the bottom. You can put mesh over those holes. It'll keep anything from going in there. And then on your gable ends of your house where you have the vents, usually when they're manufactured, they have screen in behind those to keep that from happening. Sometimes squirrels, things like that, get in there and eat that away, and you have holes. So you really need to go and check, have someone check those and make sure you don't have any openings for any of those embers or anything like that to get in there. This is just regular screens on your windows, and then broken windows, which I hope none of us have those. But the screens is one thing it can get in there, especially if you had a wooden clad window. You can have embers go in behind that screen and actually start a fire in your windowsill, especially if you're not home, if you're away on vacation or you go away for a couple of months. no one's there. If something like this happens, no one's there to look at it. This shows the small deck on the front of the house, and what they recommend is, I know a lot of you do lattice work, things like that around your porch. Put that 1/8" screening in front of that or behind it to keep any embers like that from going up underneath your porch. How many have leaves underneath your deck right now? Probably been there for a couple, 3 years. More than likely. So, and all that does, if you blow, clean all that out, and put those rocks and things in there, and put that screening, well, now you barricaded all that off. You don't have to worry about it. Yes?
One more thing you raised out. A lot of people don't think about it. A lot of people have these under deck systems.
Yes.
It's perfect for leave with that in there.
Oh, yeah.
Fire would get bad. So,
Yeah.
you need to cover that with a
Yeah, I mean, any of those decking systems like that, secure them. Make sure that nothing gets in there.
Right. It talked about before, one of the videos talked about when it's time to replace your roof, use fire resistant.
Fire retardant.
Retardant. Okay, so regular shingle roofs, are they by themselves? Say there's no pine needles or no anything, well, is a regular shingle roof, like not a metal roof, but a shingle roof, is that considered fire retardant?
No.
Okay.
Well, to a certain extent, shingles are made out of basically tar with sand and grit on top of them.
Okay.
So if you have a roof, say it's 30 years old and you have some worn places in it, maybe have a couple of missing shingles. If you have one of those embers hit and there's no rock or pebbles, then yes, it could actually burn into that material and get into the roof. But now they do make, out west, you have the terracotta roof systems and things like that that are completely fire retardant. You don't have to worry about it.
Or metal.
Yeah,
tin
but,
or whatever.
and metal and tin is fine too. But they do make shingles that are fire retardant, made out of different material.
Okay.
But,
That's interesting. And so in patios and decks, say they're not treps or some sort of, that, but they're just wood. I mean, is that considered, if there's no exacerbating, your wood pile and stacked against it, is the deck itself, the fact that it's wood, is that?
wood will burn. The only thing is it has to have a direct contact for a certain amount of time.
So one ember landing on it with, if there's not any leaves on it or pine, it's unlikely to
It's
start.
very unlikely. And again, it goes back to the way the roof system looks. You have people that keep the front side of the house clean. You go around the back side and it may be a door on one corner of the deck. They don't ever go to it and it's like 2 foot deep in leaves pushed up in the corner. Now, if you have something fall into there, then you may have an issue.
It's kind of the same stuff with the roof.
Yeah.
Regular roof in good shape, whether, without the fire resistant material.
Sure.
If an ember hits it, it's not going to just catch fire. You're going to have to.
You've got to have some direct flame contact for a while. And this shows what we're talking about. That's the lattice, and then you have the 1/8 screening around that. So if an ember did come up and hit, it's not going to get underneath the house into any leaves if there are any. And also you can notice that there's some type of stone around the foundation of the house. So if anything does fall right there, it's going to burn out. It's not going to ignite any leaves or anything like that. Basically what this shows, the little structure on the left looks like it probably has T111 siding on it, which is just plain wooden siding with some mulch and a wooden fence. And you can see how easily it burned. The one on the right has a metal fencing. Looks like it has hardy plank siding with gravel at the base of it. So that goes to show you what the two, basically if there was fire at the bottom, you'd have a lot better chance with the one on the right than the one on the left. Move any flammable materials away from wall exteriors, mulch, flammable plants, leaves, needles, firewood piles, anything that can burn. Does anybody keep their firewood on their front porch, underneath their deck?
No, but you see it everywhere.
You do. That's why I just want to ask, just to make sure. But anything like that, gas cans, people want to keep their weed eaters sometimes underneath their deck and store the gas with it. It's not a good idea at all. Natural combustible materials are not only fire risk around the immediate perimeter. Furniture, household items like rugs, brooms catch fire when contact with burning embers. Does anybody have the outside rugs on their back decks? Any type of rug? Okay. Now they do make some that is made out of fire retardant material. They call them the all-weather rugs. Those are good for things like that. But if you use some of the others, especially the ones that are, I call them like wicker. They're almost like dried material that's woven together. Those are horrible. And I have seen those burn in fires before and completely burn the deck off the house. If plants are desired near the home, they should be fire resistant. And this little, if you go back to the video and want to go to this site, this actually tells you what type of plants to plant in these zones we're talking about, 0 to 5, 5 to 30. And it tells you what type of plants you can plant that will not burn or have a high tolerance before they do burn. So I would recommend to look at that, especially if you're going to be doing any landscaping. I know they were talking about doing this, having that group meet, and that would probably be a good idea to take a look at this to give them some ideas of what to use if you do that. Again, here's two structures just like the small ones. The one on the left looks like you probably had mulch in the front yard. You have some cedar shakes on the front for siding. Then on the right you have some gravel, and again with hardy plank. So it would be a lot better fire resistant for the one on the right than the one on the left. Is this the? Okay. This is a video. They actually set this up. This is simulated. It's a small scale. And if you look right in this area over here, there's that little machine in the bottom right hand corner is actually throwing fire embers at this little model scale home. And it shows you what can happen because this is the same thing. The one on the left is some mulch, cedar, and things like that. The one on the right is more of the hardy plank material and things like that. Yes, ma'am.
Don't disagree with hardy plank does burn. Our whole house in Canton, brick and hardy plank burns it down.
It will burn. It will burn. What kind of landscaping did you have around it?
It was a natural gas leach in the house.
Oh yeah, and again, we're talking about flying embers and fire that would burn up to your house. If it gets up and underneath the hardy plank, which I have a small story to tell about that, but as far as anything hitting it and falling off, hardy's going to be a lot better than the cedar shake, things like that, because cedar's already dry to start with and usually treated with some type of oil.
I think if you go to the next slide, it's a full screen.
Okay. And again, you can see that those things are blowing the embers at that. And the one on the left is completely front porch, everything's burning. The one on the right is not. I think you're going to take it back over here. One quick thing, back in March, Pickens County as a whole does a drill countywide. This year we did it at Big Canoe. It was Pickens County, the Sheriff's Office, the Fire Department, Bentry, Big Canoe, all of public safety as a whole. They wanted to host it at Big Canoe. We did a two-day tabletop exercise. And what it was, they had a fire, a wildland fire that started on Cove Road and worked itself into Big Canoe within like 15 minutes. The original dispatch was a Pickens County fire station because it was in Pickens County. And if any of you know, if you're going over to Big Canoe, there's a little access gate that comes out on the left-hand side on Cove Road. I can't remember exactly where it's at, but that was where the fire started. And by the time it took the fire department, they were there in like 8 minutes. By the time they got there, the fire had already moved into Big Canoe, and there's a small cul-de-sac there on that ridge. And the way the radio traffic worked, they got there, notified Big Canoe that there's a fire moving into their area. By the time Big Canoe Fire Department got there, they already had 3 houses involved in fire because of this fire. Again, all this is scenario based, but all the information was from very, very low humidity, winds in the 30s. It was very dry conditions, but it can happen. And the overall scheme, we spent 2 days there, and in the scenario with everything that we did with water drops and everything else, we lost close to 2,000 acres and over 140 homes in this scenario. And there was nothing in that scenario that was not able to happen, basically. I mean, we had weather statements that came out, and we had to work around those. So, that's the whole thing. Always be prepared. If somebody sends out a blast, you need to evacuate now because of certain situation. In this scenario, you had some people that didn't do that. Well, they didn't fare so well. Because one, you had firefighters trying to do other things and they couldn't even get to them. And that's a sad reality, but sometimes that does happen. But, always be aware, and especially with your home. I mean, go home and check it and make sure all those things are taken care of, and then that's the start. And then if you do the 5-foot parameter around the house, you're already ahead of the game at that point. Anybody got any questions? Yes.
Now, how would you notify us in the middle of the night if we had to evacuate?
We would do an email and a text alert.
I don't listen to my email. I don't know.
The text alert would be probably the best thing. I don't know if you would hear that.
Would it be an alarm on the phone?
One thing we can do is we can notify 911 and they can set off the tornado siren.
That's at the Gulf Center?
It's the tennis center.
I don't know. I just wanted a quick question. Would we call 911 if we had fire emergency?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when Ken just had an emergency, a couple of weeks ago, I called and they said, "What state are you in?" Huh? Who am I talking to? She was very calm. I was somewhat calm.
Do you have did you call by cell phone?
Yeah.
Does it have a local number on that cell phone?
I don't know. I just called 911.
If you call it from your cell phone, if it has a different number other than the 770-678 or something like that, it could key their system off.
What's your cell phone number?
678 local.
Okay.
Yeah.
Usually those will key off somewhere
Yeah,
else.
I was hoping so.
Yeah.
Anyway, got through fine.
Weird.
But that scared me a little. Where am I?
Yes.
Well, one of the things I see here at Bent Tree is a lot of us have propane tanks that have wooden fences around it.
Correct.
That seems very vulnerable to me, and would a good recommendation be to take those down and plant landscaping that's high enough to block the...
Either that or you can continue your, basically hardscaping to where your tank is and put gravel around it. That way if anything does fall, hopefully it won't have that much flame impingement to set it on fire.
I think the point of what we're doing today is, like obviously wood will burn, but is it gonna catch fire from an ember hitting it? Most likely not. It's gonna take that ember hitting something on the ground under the wood fence that's burning, continuously. So you really wanna just keep that area clean. You don't wanna take down the wood fence, just keep that area.
Just don't let the leaves build up inside.
Right.
Can't sit.
Don't let that
I have a question.
Yes.
Does it kind of slow it down too if you have paint or stain on your house? If you have a wood house? No? It burns equally fast?
If you have direct flame onto a house, sooner or later it's gonna burn, it's not gonna matter.
Okay, that's what I wondered.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
If you have a tank that's underground, any problem?
Again, I've seen them to where they have leaves over the top, and sometimes if you have the leaves burn, it can drop in. Sometimes it get hot enough to set off the pressure relief valve and vent those, but most of the time if it's a metal lid enclosed, you're never gonna know it. Yes, sir.
Phone number where the text message comes from, because I have do not disturb on my phone, which I can override if the numbers in my favorites. So I'd like to add that number.
I don't know that off the top of my head, but if you set my email address is at the end here, if you want to shoot me an email, I'll let you know that.
Okay.
Oh, one more question.
Yes.
If we want somebody to come and look at our property,
Can we call you?
Sure. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. Anybody else?
Good job, man. When it comes to evacuations, yeah, we have the regular email, which I know that's not great, as good as text alerts, and we would obviously use a text alert along with that for an evacuation situation. But along with that, we would actually drive the target roads and get on the PA system. Yeah, so we would bring in everybody for something like that.
The dogs would go crazy.
Yeah. Go ahead.
When is the last text message that you guys sent out? Do you remember offhand?
No, I don't remember offhand.
Because when we first moved here, we were getting text messages all the time, and I don't think we're getting them anymore.
We'll have to, I'll do a test message to everyone and just, we'll see who gets it. I'll send out an email alert along with it, so you'll get that if you don't get the text. And yeah, we had to reduce the amount of text messages we sent out because I guess doing too many causes them to get spammed or something. And yeah, we went through a pretty tough time where we couldn't even send anything because of something that happened because of that. Okay. So we're trying to, yeah. So we don't do them unless it's really like worthy of it, you know. But I was going to go back to this slide right quick here. So that Ember machine there, okay, so that's not very far from those structures. That's probably, what do you think, 20 feet, something like that? Yeah. So you've got a machine that is creating the same type embers that are going to be present in a wildfire 20 feet from the home, shooting it directly at the home. Okay, so that's why, Ken, when you ask about, you know, going out to the 30-foot range for trees, say you have a tree there that caught fire and it's releasing those embers. If your house itself and the 5-foot perimeter is along with these principles, that's not going to be a real big concern. That's kind of why we're focusing on what we are right now. So just wanted to kind of point that out, that's like shooting is, you know, a lot of embers, more so than you would probably have if there was a wildfire in the distance. So just a couple things I wanted to direct people to, you know, on your personal time. So this is the Bentry website. If you go to the public safety section and then you go down to wildfire protection, that little tab there, it's right next to, I'll make it bigger here. So there it is, right next to the Public Safety Reports 2024. This video is really incredible. It's 15 minutes. That's why we didn't play it today, but it's the same stuff that we spoke about today, but it's really good to watch that video. And so good that we have it directly on the website. And anyone who wants a copy of this PowerPoint, you can email me and I'll send it to you. This is actually the link for the video. This is a link to the full length video of the guys that were escaping from Gatlinburg. It's got a lot of cussing in it, so I didn't want to play it. But if you want to watch it on your own time, it'll be in the PowerPoint. And then,
if there is a fire in the area of your home, is it advisable to go outside and water everything down around the perimeter of your house?
What do you think, Donnie?
Or even your house, hose everything?
It doesn't hurt to do that. It depends on how much time you have.
Yeah, well, that's what I was just
wondering. Because you can see it, and especially if it's wind driven, it's not going to help.
Okay.
Most likely it'll be wind driven.
But here's my email. Anyone who would like a copy of the presentation, go ahead and just send me a request. I'll send it right over to you. And we also have some Firewise brochures and stuff on the corner of that table over there. So really appreciate everyone coming. Hope you got something out of this. Thank you.
plant list, when you pull down that plant list, any ones that are given up to the side, it will tell you if it's invasive, and a few of them are. So if you pick something off that list, look, just pay attention to that as well.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Donnie. I have one question, and that is in regard to the wildfire and the grant and different things that they're applying for. Is there anything as a group, Lake and Wildlife, can do to help us get more points to get that?
Not at this point. I mean, I think the grant was really put together well. Pretty much everything was considered when they put it out there. So I think that it's as good as it's going to get.
Okay.
And, at this point, I think it has been reviewed. We just don't know what the scores were.
Okay.
So we'll see, but I promise to work with you guys when it comes to implementing it, especially around the entry infrastructure and so on. So I want to make sure we're all kind of working together with that.
Okay, so there's nothing we can really do around our houses or anything right now because the information's in there. They either approve it or they don't.
Right.
Okay. Well, we're here if you need us to help improve that. Is there any link between Wildfire and Wildcat, the other wild, where we get the volunteer hours and you can use that?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so Bentry is part of the Wildcat community. That's a consortium of communities like Big Canoe. There's several others. But anyways, the volunteer hours that Lake and Wildlife does, they help with that because they're looking for a certain amount. For us to be in that group, they're looking for a certain number of hours that are put in that contribute to wildfire protection. So that could be certain landscaping things that are done, removing the, I think the stiltgrass.
Stiltgrass is a known igniter.
Yeah.
Right, so dry stiltgrass, when it dies in the winter, it makes a mat, and that is highly flammable. Right?
Yeah, so the hours you put in for that help us, submit that to them. Clearing debris off trails, things like that. So a lot of that stuff helps. I can't remember how many hours we were able to use this year, but Megan Wandry sent them to me and we spoke about it, and it was significant help. So, but yeah, we are part of the Wildcat community, and they are the ones that ultimately submitted that grant and included us in it. I guess something with our tax status, we are not able to put in for the grant ourselves. So our membership in that community is important for things like that.
Great, that's great to clarify. And I'm going to speak to the executive committee on Monday about this further, because after you worked with Megan, and I think we had like 276 hours or something considerable to help them to get that grant through Wildcat, which is very interesting. And then I met with Melissa after and discussed with her the volunteer hours and what they meant. And we're going to be able to contribute even more, a lot more. And so this is going to help our community, help with Wildcat, help with grants. So we'll talk more on Monday, and I'll come back to you again with some results on that. But I wanted you to hear about that because it's very important and helps us qualify for grants. You've been a very patient group. You've stayed a long time. I appreciate it. And I appreciate all the input on communication, wildlife, and silt. And we will keep moving. And Mike and Donnie, thanks for all you do for us. We appreciate it. And with that, let's go enjoy some nice days in Bentry. Thank you. Yeah.